Mic check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Mic check. Is it hitting?
Yeah, but it's uneven.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even use it.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's better than it was. No?
Leave it the way it is. Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jermaine Collins. I'm a U.S. Army veteran and the lead organizer with Common Defense. Over this past weekend, 5 protesters were arrested by ICE and Border Patrol agents outside this Broadview ICE facility while exercising their First Amendment right to peaceful protest. Among those detained was 70-year-old Air Force veteran Dana Briggs. Shortly after his detainment, video surfaced of the events leading up to the moment he was detained. In the video, we see 70-year-old Dana pushed to the ground by what appeared to be a masked Border Patrol agent. This is yet another example of what continues to be a growing trend of ICE and supporting federal agencies escalating violence against peaceful protesters simply exercising their First Amendment right. Joining me today are representatives from Illinois Vets for Change, the ACLU, and other veterans and community members outraged by the increased presence of ICE in our communities and the use of the military in order to support these operations. Before we get to the other speakers, I want to discuss the impact of ICE operations in our neighborhoods. Just earlier this week, ICE agents Just earlier this week, ICE agents were dropping from helicopters into Chicago neighborhoods and detaining men, women, and children alike without warrants. This is an unprecedented time. During ICE enforcement practices, we have not only seen a failure to distinguish between undocumented individuals and U.S. citizens, but we continue to see the practice of detaining and deporting our law-abiding, undocumented neighbors instead of the gangs of criminals this administration claimed were plaguing our street and used that as a justification for federal and military action in our neighborhoods. One of the most disturbing aspects of this policy is the detainment and deportation of undocumented veterans. Those who served and sacrificed for this country alongside of native-born and naturalized citizens. Veterans like U.S. Army veteran and legal resident of the United States, Marlon Paris, who self-deported to Trinidad months ago after being held for months in horrendous conditions in an ICE facility like the one behind me. Marlon's case is just one example of the broken and inhumane process we need to immediately, systematically change. And this all starts with taking ICE off of our streets and out of our communities. We have thank you. We have some great speakers today. Up next is the chair of Illinois Vets for Change and Army veteran Jesse Rojo.
Good morning, everybody. As it was just said, my name is Jesse Rojo, the chair of Illinois Veterans for Change, the largest democratic veteran organization in the state of Illinois. And it is our work, our mission, to reclaim and redefine that word patriotism. Because in the age of Trump, it has been perverted to becoming you love your country so much, you hate your fellow Americans. Loving your country so much, you hug the flag and then you turn your back on its very values. This is resulting in what we see now, where so-called patriots are turning a blind eye when they see mass deportation efforts tearing apart our community. Turning a blind eye when they see mass ICE agents and National Guard troops flooding our streets and numbing us to the reality that our civil rights, our democracy is being crushed day by day. That is not patriotism. To be a patriot means to love your country enough you're willing to roll up your sleeves and work to make it better. Willing to serve it in the military, as a teacher, as a first responder, as an advocate. To be a patriot is what we are seeing many do here today. Standing up, standing in solidarity, peacefully protesting and saying that what is happening is not okay. What is happening is not okay. Let us be clear in what is happening. We are seeing a so-called political leader. We're seeing our president in the White House pointing fingers, demonizing our immigrant communities, trying to rile up fear and hatred towards them so as to distract from releasing the Epstein files, so as to distract from our floundering economy, and so as to distract from our democracy being torn apart. And that is not okay. And that is why we stand in solidarity. That is why we protest peacefully. That is why we stand on the right side of history and say that this is not an issue of Democrats versus Republicans. This is an issue of those who will stand up and protect democracy and those who will turn a blind eye. So to those willing to stand, I thank you. To those driven by their true patriotism, who want a better America, I thank you. And to those who are hesitating, those who are seeing what is going on and still have not chosen a side, I understand and I ask you, I beg of you, to do the right thing and to stand up for democracy. Thank you all so much. It is now my honor to introduce our next speaker, a woman who knows what it is to be a patriot, who knows what it is to serve her community, who knows what it is to fight for a better tomorrow for every child in every family in every community. A member of Illinois Veterans for Change, a candidate for 13th House District in Illinois, Demi Palachek.
Good morning. Thank you everyone for coming to here today and listening to veterans, because we often are forgotten about and not listened to. So my name is Demi Palachek. I am in the National Guard. I have been for 14 years and still counting. I'm a lifelong activist, a Latina, and a Chicagoan who is sick and tired of ICE ruining our streets. For the last month, I've stood outside Broadview Detention Center every Friday protesting alongside families and neighbors. Week after week, I watch little kids come up to the detention center with their siblings looking for their parents, only to find them knocking on the doors and them slamming the door on their face. But that's why I keep coming back, because no one in America should be treated like this. Every week, ICE escalates violence against us, peaceful protesters exercising our First Amendment rights. At first, they just ripped up our signs, but then they started shoving people and throwing us to the ground. Then came into the mob tactics, full-on tackles, dragging people away. They know that they can't arrest us just simply for protesting. So instead, they drag us away onto their property and give us felonies for trespassing. That's how they're silencing us. 2 weeks ago, I was grabbed, bruised, and shot with pepper spray, and then tear gas with canisters, simply for helping another peaceful protester. Last week, snipers on the top of the building flooded the entire block, not only against peaceful protests, clergy, but also neighbors and children. ICE has no regard for any human life. And let me be clear, these are not trained professionals. As a military member, I can tell you the way they are handling weapons is reckless and dangerous. I've seen ICE agents with fingers on their trigger, using real M16s, M9s, pointing them at people. They're just trigger happy, and there's no trigger discipline. They don't understand the deployment of trigger gas that they're doing, and also this level of escalation and incompetence, people will die. And for what? 70% of detained and no criminal record? Only 7% have a criminal violent past? And that's not even about removing criminals. If it was, then we wouldn't be at ICE, or we wouldn't be protesting here. ICE wouldn't be raiding schools at the drop-off line, workplaces, or families, or homes. This was never about lowering costs. It was never about energy or healthcare or groceries. This is to help billionaires. This is about scapegoating. It's about the immigrants used as political rods while private prison companies cash in away and while taking away our civil rights. The 14th Amendment guarantees equal protection to all persons, not just citizens. Yet today, journalists, peaceful protesters, and Latino communities are being profiled, beaten, and arrested for standing up for how they are just living. They want us to be afraid, and they want to divide us, because if they can strip one group from their rights, they can strip all of us from our rights. I keep thinking back when I was in school, learning about Germany in 1930. I always wondered how ordinary people would just stay silent. I told myself as a child, I would have spoken up, I would have acted, I would have done something. Well, now is that moment. It's happening again, right now in 2025. So I'm asking everyone listening, if you believe that you would have stood up to fascism back then, I need you to prove it now. To my fellow veterans and service members, remember your oath is to the people, not to politicians or fascists. We swore to defend the nation against all enemies, foreign and domestic. If our government turns its power against the innocent, then it's our duty to stand with the people. Thank you.
Condemn all political violence. Political violence, people breaking flags, tearing flags out of hands, people throwing water on protesters, people throwing ice on people, people chasing people. Why? Because they have an opposing political viewpoint. That's things that happen here. People are not innocent. You have agitators. You have people who are violent.
You are the agitator. You are the agitator.
You have people who are violent. You have people who are not peaceful.
But you are not peaceful.
When you have a flag that's broken in half, and because they want to rip the flag out of your hand, you have people who throw water on you, you have people who throw ice on you, you have people who chase you and try to swing at you. That's violent.
So let's not.
That's not violent. That's not peaceful.
So this is an agitator, and he's been coming here and hurting people and screaming at people. He even went against elected officials.
If you support the First Amendment right as you claim, then I can stand here and voice my opinion just as much as you can. You cannot rip an American flag out of somebody's hand. You cannot break the American flag. That's shameful. That's disgraceful. That should never happen in this country. That is violence. That's hateful rhetoric, and that's something that you should not.
Okay, so I'm going to introduce the next veteran who actually serves our country and does something for our country. It's Dylan Balhoff.
God bless America. USA. USA. USA.
Hi, my name's Dylan Blaha. I'm a U.S. Army veteran and also a veteran of the Illinois Army National Guard. And today I'm here to talk about my concerns over the rapid authoritarianism in our country. Early warning signs of fascism include powerful and continuing nationalism, a disdain for human rights, an identification of enemies as a unifying cause. There's also supremacy of the military, controlled mass media, rampant sexism, and obsession with national security. Over the past few months, President Trump has slowly normalized the use of the military in American cities. First, in June, he illegally deployed the California National Guard to Los Angeles to stand in front of a few federal buildings in order to waste $120 million taxpayer dollars, while scaring the American public in the process. Then in August, Trump activated the D.C. National Guard under a false crime narrative. Shortly after, he threatened to deploy the National Guard to the streets of Chicago. On Saturday, he told Pete Hegseth to deploy the military to, quote, war-ravaged Portland, and he told them to use, quote, full force. This is what authoritarians do. Crime is not up in major American cities. It's down. This isn't about crime, though. This is a power grab. On Tuesday, he suggested to a room full of military generals and admirals that the U.S. military could use cities like Chicago as a training ground. He told our top military leaders to prepare for a war against an enemy from within. Last week, he also signed a directive called NSPM 7 to criminalize speaking out against the government. The U.S. military is not a law enforcement force. Federalized forces cannot serve as domestic law enforcement under the Posse Comitatus Act unless the president declares an insurrection. National Guard deployed under state orders can sometimes assist local law enforcement, but our leaders aren't asking for it. With every military deployment, our president slides the Overton window further to the right. Things that once seemed unthinkable and radical now seem acceptable or even sensible. Our president's actions have dismantled established norms that limit the military's role in domestic affairs. Organizations like the ACLU and the Brennan Center have warned that deploying the military against civilians poses an intolerable threat to individual liberty and is dangerous for American democracy. Let's call it like it is. Our president wants to use the U.S. military as his personal police force to target his political enemies and our immigrant communities. I wish I had all the answers, but I don't. All military service members must disobey unlawful orders, so I ask our military leaders to start there. To everyone else, it's important to note how abnormal this moment is. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell anyone who will listen. This is not normal, and we cannot allow the presence of the U.S. military and ICE in our cities to become the new normal. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce Mr. Ed Yanka of the ACLU.
Thank you very much. Good morning. My name is Ed, E-D. Last name is Yanka, Y-O-H-N-K-A. I'm the Director of Communications and Public Policy for the ACLU of Illinois. On behalf of the ACLU, I am proud to stand here with these veterans today and to really call out, as you just heard, that what we're seeing both here in Broadview, across Chicago, and across the country is not normal, and we should not treat it as such. Let me say a couple of words about Chicago to begin. First of all, Chicago has a great tradition of protests and speaking out. If you've lived here for 15 minutes, you know that we have a protest of some sort or another virtually every day. One walks up and down Michigan Avenue or past Daly or Federal Plaza and sees people fully engaged in their First Amendment rights. And it doesn't take folks in camouflage shooting chemical agents and pellets at people to disperse them. That's not what we do in Chicago. Here's the other thing about our city and about our community. We have problems, and we're working on them. And the last thing that we need to help with any of those problems is any sort of military force, including the National Guard, to come in here at the direction of Donald Trump. The reality is that Donald Trump doesn't like Chicago. And he doesn't like Chicago not because he's got a building here. It's not because there are people here whom he has some grievance with over anything else other than the fact that the majority of voters and the majority of elected people in this city do not support this immigration policy. That is why Chicago is on the list to be targeted with this kind of deployment. So in closing, let me just say it is incredibly dangerous to see the military used in a domestic situation like this. It is dangerous that a president thinks that it's a training ground for lethal force to be used in a city and in a major urban area in the United States. And it is disturbing to see a president who believes that sweeping people up off the street with military force somehow makes our country greater. We're better than this, and we need to speak out. Thank you all very much.
Thank you again for joining us this morning. We're going to give a few minutes to let folks ask questions, so our speakers can answer some questions. So wanted to see if we had any questions in the crowd right now.
Yeah, Dana, would you like to say something?
I'm sorry?
Would the veteran, anybody like to say something?
So Dana Briggs is not with us today. He's not with us today.
Do you know where he is or why he's not?
So Dana was advised not to come to this facility. He has an ongoing investigation, so we want to leave the investigation be for now. Any other questions for any of our speakers? All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you so much for coming, and we hope that members of the press will speak to some of the protesters and folks on the side. Really get the lay of the land out here. The community has been very clear. The community does not want this ICE facility here. The community does not want ICE in the streets of Chicago, and the community does not want the National Guard in the streets of Chicago. Common Defense stands with the members of this community and veterans as we speak out against these inhumane deportations and detainment of our undocumented and also sometimes documented neighbors. Thank you again.
It's good to see you. Good to see you. Hello, Charlie. It's good right here.